A know-it-all newspaper columnist with an awkward, unsophisticated everyman.
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Welcome to Couch and the Roo.
Welcome to Couch in the Roo, presented by Skymint, premium cannabis, inspiring people to do better, feel better, be better, look better every damn day of their lives. Jason, how you doing, man?
I don't know if I look better, but I definitely feel better thanks to Skymint, getting solid 8.5 hours of sleep. Thank you, Skymint.
It's
just not about a good time with Skymint. You know, if you need help getting to sleep, they're there for you too.
A little bit of pain relief too, you know.
Sure.
You play basketball too many days in a row.
Oh, here
we
go.
Makes the joints feel better, you know.
Had to weave that in there on Monday.
Because I'm that kind of athlete.
You are.
And we all know it.
Yep.
Some really good hot takes today. We are going to dig into some great stuff. And there's, you can feel football season heating up. You can feel recruiting.
Football's back.
Wasn't that that's what you wrote down for yourself last week, right?
I wrote it down again. I copy and pasted it for this 3 hot takes.
So much nuance in your takes.
They're terrible. Really. Actually, the third one might be funny, but yeah. Other than that, it's just kind of me. I didn't watch many of the Tigers games this weekend. What's up with that? Day games. I hate those. Were they on day?
I think one was a day.
One was a day game?
Yeah.
I missed them all this weekend.
Yeah. What are you going to do? So there's the other thing that might be happening, and I don't know this for sure, and I'm a little nervous about today's show. I'm a little worried that my wife is listening.
Awesome.
Not good.
Why?
Because the whole show is based around the premise that if she ever listens, the show ends. Like, that's it. The whole show is she doesn't listen.
Please listen.
No. Yeah.
Trying to figure out an excuse to end the show.
She
You haven't said anything bad.
No, she just got excited because I told her there were some hot takes that involved Fiestaware. Because I can't even remember why I got into Fiestaware. The dishes last week.
It was random. It was the most random thing, and there was some store in Missouri that you recommended to everyone.
It's West Virginia.
West Virginia,
yeah.
Sorry.
Fiestaware factory, yeah.
Fiestaware, as if you said it as if we all knew what you were talking about.
Right.
That's what the great thing about this show.
So there were a couple different people bring it up, and so she's excited. And she's like, do you want me to take some pictures? Because we got a new Fiestaware dish. It's not called uranium red. It's like something red. She just told me it and I got it wrong. But it's like some rare thing we found in an antique shop in Lowell, you know, because that's what we do on Sundays.
Nice.
Followed by Skymint, for sure. All right, you want to start? You want to lead us into these hot takes?
It's about Calvin Johnson in the Hall of Fame.
Let's do it.
Are you going Michigan State? Because you can go first.
No, you go first. It's good.
I don't know if you caught any of the Hall of Fame festivities over the weekend, Graham, but of course the Lions and the Calvin Johnson saga continued, which I thought was rectified at some point, but Calvin Johnson revealing that he pretty much hates the Detroit Lions. I feel like if Calvin Johnson would have played an exhibition game for Buffalo, I think he would have went in as a Buffalo Bill last night. I just don't understand what's going on. They're trying to make him work for the money that he paid back, which I understand. The Detroit Lions, for some stupid reason, the NFL has a rule where you can't just give the money back to a player that you took money from. You have to put it in $500,000 increments and ask Calvin Johnson to come work 28 hours for a year, which I understand is minimal. But a guy that paid out, and he said he paid out more than that, to come back and work for what, 3 years?
Because it's $1.6 million.
$1.6 million, and then they give $100,000 to Calvin Johnson's charity. I just don't. And Calvin Johnson is saying it's more money than this. The fact that the Detroit Lions, and I understand there's a way. There has to be a way. And by the way, fire Rod Wood. He doesn't like Rod Wood. He's announced that he hates Rod Wood. Get rid of Rod Wood and bring in Calvin. I mean, how many fans talk about Rod Wood? Zero. Other than I hate Rod Wood. How many fans talk about Calvin Johnson and would love to see him there at Ford Field? Everyone. So what are we waiting for? Get the guy his money back. I mean, I don't know if it's a ploy like, oh, yeah, can you work 28 hours a week? And then you just pay him. I don't know what that NFL rule is. But the Lions look like complete ass like usual. I don't know if Calvin Johnson is being petty here because I can understand not wanting to work for money you paid out and you earned.
So I think the small amount of money that it is relative to his career earnings, and when I say $1.6 million, we've all talked about this. Like, that's very close to my
LSJ salary?
No, but my total for which I can be bought. Like if you want, you want me to shut up about something or whatever, or end a career. 1.8 million is the number. But 1.6, I always thought it was more than 1.6 for whatever reason in my head before this weekend.
And Calvin Johnson has said that 1.6 figure is not even close to what he paid back.
Okay, but even so, you think how much money the Lions bring in every year, how much there's over for a guy who did as much as they did. Like, I understand if you give a guy a $25 million signing bonus and he quits 4 months later being like, hey, wait a second, that's not really cool.
Yeah, or he pulls like an Antonio Brown and gets off the field trouble all over the place.
Right, but this is a guy who gave you it's ridiculous for the small amount of money it is relative to the budget they work within.
But you had a chance where you were going to be on the national stage for a moment because one of your players made the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And it was time to rectify that situation. And every article you see is about the Calvin Johnson Detroit Lions feud is still happening. I mean, what a terrible franchise. And you can sit there and you can put the Sheila Hamp Ford, the daughter, in front and think everything's going to be okay. I just don't think it's going to be okay.
Well, not between those two.
No, but it's not just between the fans.
Yeah.
It's going to be another terrible season this year, so giddy up. It just pissed me off.
All right, my first hot take. And I know that I am somebody who poo-poos commitments in college football. And I will continue to do them on an individual basis. In other words, I am hesitant to get overly, I don't want to say excited because I'm not actually excited myself, but get overly excited in terms of what I write and how I portray the importance of any single commitment because I don't believe, it's just, I don't want to say I don't believe, but it's very hard to grasp how much of an actual commitment any single individual college football athlete actually has.
The one kid said 1,000%
well,
committed. I mean, that's...
I was 1,000% committed to a lot of things when I was 16, 17 years old, none of which...
Porn.
Really, yes, most of it was that, right? But where you can, I believe, judge recruiting classes before signing day a little bit, and again, signing day is the day that you really begin to judge them and then how they play out over time. But when there start to be a number of four-star kids and a group of kids, an overall class starts to look a certain way, I think it's fair to start to evaluate it and start to commend it in certain ways with Michigan State. They now have 3 4-star kids. Alex Van Sumeren, Jaden Mangum, who just committed this last weekend, and Antonio Gates Jr., and they've got about 6 other guys who are high 3 stars. And that means in the next 300 rankings, top 600. And again, rankings don't mean everything. Evaluations are incredibly important. Mark D'Antonio certainly showed that. But when you look at Mark D'Antonio's best classes at Michigan State and how he really built it, that run they had in the 2010s through 16s, it was by having, or 15, by having 4, 5, 4-star kids, a lot of high 3-star kids, and then some guys that they got that other people just missed through evaluations. You don't need to have 10 4-star players to have a hell of a recruiting class, but you got to have some because it's not the stars aren't all wrong. In other words, everybody else can't have them and not you. And this is starting to look like, and again, there's only so many, it's not a complete recruiting class yet. And Caton Hauser, I'm guessing, winds up as a 4-star kid. We'll see. But right now it's a national rank 15, Big Ten rank 5. Now, some of that's because they got, 19 commitments? Is it that many? Maybe that seems like a lot, but it might be that. And if you have more commitments, you wind up with a higher grade at this point. But what have we talked about with the important thing with Mel Tucker recruiting? At some point, he needed to have consistent top 25, some top 20 classes. If you're going to build it, if you're going to be competitive, you're going to be relevant in the Big Ten, you've got to get to that level. And this class looks like it's headed in that direction. Again, any 1 or 2 of these kids who are highly rated could get an offer from Alabama and say, I'd rather do that. Because their commitment is actually not really that.
Still looks good for your program, though, if Alabama's trying to take guys that you want.
And again, there is such thing as momentum.
Yeah.
And you saw it in 2016, a great example of it. And obviously that wound up being just a complete catastrophe. I mean, it's just a disaster all around. But it wasn't during the recruiting process. So I think what's happening is significant. And obviously it's premature to to count on any individual athlete, and I think the transfer portal only adds to that because now if they show up on campus and don't play in year one and they want to go somewhere else, they don't have to sit. It'll be interesting to watch over the next 5 years how many kids really do move at least once. But this is this is Mel Tucker getting it done in recruiting, and that's what was largely hired to do. I mean, that's what was supposed to separate him from other people that they were, that they looked at, and that's what was supposed to make him different. And he was going to come in and compete and go up against other high-tier Big Ten rivals, and you're starting to see that. And if you can marry that with a certain amount of transfers every year and transfers start to see success, and you don't want to be bringing in 15 every year, but if you're bringing in 7 or 8 transfers to go along with, 20 recruits, and you've got some kids that can play right away, and you've got, there's some promising things happening, and I think people should be excited. So for all the shit I give, people talking about recruiting and commitments, and I hate the word commitment in recruiting, especially in football recruiting, because I think commitment is a really strong word.
I think we should have 1,000% committed category. 1,000% is next level, I think.
Well, and I think it's also fair to judge a kid differently if he decommits and goes somewhere else in terms of what do you really mean by commitment?
I don't care.
I don't either.
Come on, these kids are 17. I'd be changing schools every time. You imagine if schools were courting you to play football? I would change my mind every other day.
Point being, I think what MSU's got going on is significant. Jaden Magnum, the latest guy to say he's coming to Michigan State, and I think this is the beginning of what Mel Tucker said he was going to do. We'll see if he continues it. We'll see how far he takes it. But this is the sort of class, when you look at it from a star standpoint, from a rating standpoint, looks very similar to Mark D'Antonio's best classes in which he built the program. What's your second hot take?
I was looking for positive Detroit Lions stories over the weekend, and I stumbled on one that wasn't positive because meet Zach Pashak, Graham. He is a Detroiter who just bet big on the Lions to win the Super Bowl. That was the headline on the MLive.com. Now, I think Zach Pashak, who's 41 years old, makes 2009 Sportsbook Jason look credible because Zach Pashak bet $3,000 on the Lions to, A, win the Super Bowl, B, make the Super Bowl, and C, win the NFC North, all for $1,000. And he had his picture taken with the tickets. Are we that crazy? Come on, seriously, can you think? And by the way, I didn't believe in this story, and you tell me. It says that he went up to the counter, and the lady, the ticket taker, would not take his action at first because she didn't believe him. Have you ever been to a casino and thrown a bet out there where a casino's been like, yeah, right. I just don't believe that happened.
They'll take your money.
Right. They'll take your money on any action as long as it's fair to them on both sides.
Yep.
If it's on their board and you say, I want 1,000 Alliance, there's going to be no hemming and hawing. They're going to be taking your cash as soon as possible.
There are places that have limits because they do worry about, and there wouldn't be on that, though.
Right.
They'll have limits.
They would work with you if it was a significant amount of money.
Right. And they'll put limits on like the national anthem at a Super Bowl, but you can't even get that in most casinos anyway.
Cap some of those at $100 as well. But I just can't believe.
No,
I don't know. By looking at the picture of Zach, he's just a modest kind of guy. I don't know what he thought he was doing with his $3,000. We can go with winning the NFC North. Maybe that's his one bet he could win some money on. I think he wins $25,000 on that one. But we're going to need Aaron Rodgers to go down.
Yeah. So here's the problem with
Kirk Cousins to hang out with his father.
There are value long shot bets, and there's nothing wrong with a value long shot bet. And if you want to put multiple thousands on one, it's a little, if you got the money to spend, that's fine. But this is not a value pick. It's just not going to happen.
No.
Like if you want a value pick, I'll give you a value pick. Take a decent team in the Big Ten West Division and bet them to win the Big Ten because you got really long odds.
Right.
And you go, why is that a value pick? Well, who knows who's going to win the actual West, and then they're one game away. The reason the odds are so long is because Ohio State is in the East. But something could happen to Ohio State this year. They could have COVID outbreaks and not qualify and have forfeits. They could, have injuries and lose a game. They could not be the team that represents the East. They could have a bad day. You're talking one game, one scenario that allows a team with long odds to win it. That's a value pick. And it's still long odds, but there's a rationale to get there. The Lions winning a Super Bowl is
it's so far-fetched.
It's not.
And Zach Pashak, if it does happen, I will eat the T-shirt you're wearing in this photo.
Excellent.
Zach Pashak, 41 years old. I just know there's got to be, with $3,000, there's got to be easier ways to blow your money at a casino.
Well, yeah, I've done it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But I mean, it's such a long shot. They're like, throwing numbers out. He could win $500,000, but they're not going to win the Super Bowl this year.
No.
Unless the whole league gets COVID or something.
My second hot take. Troy Weaver, the Pistons general manager, wishes he took Jalen Green over Cade Cunningham, and you can hear it.
After one preseason game? Jeez.
I'm talking, this is during the preseason game. You can hear it when he talks about Cade Cunningham. I believe this. And part of this is just talking with guys like James Edwards, who I think James believes that, and I think Troy Weaver on his own, without management, without pressure. First of all, I think he wishes he had the second overall pick. And I think on his own, he would have taken Jalen Green. And Jalen Green's NBA career does make me a little nervous, right? I mean, you watch him in a summer league. I mean, he's going to be because if you watch his rookie year and you watch Cade Cunningham's rookie year, I think you are going to have a little buyer's remorse. Because Jalen Green, they're both going to be at bad teams. Green is a scorer, so the winning's not going to be affected that much yet. Green's going to be putting up 25 a game on a horrible Houston team.
Wait a minute. You're talking buyer's remorse already after one preseason game?
I'm not saying
after
you should
everything we talked about before the draft.
Let me finish the take. I'm saying if you watch his rookie year, I think you're going to have it. But that's the thing. You got to have some patience with this. Because to me, it's all about who affects the most winning over time. One guy is a scorer. Everybody knew Jalen Green is going to be a scorer. Bradley Beal is a great scorer. He is not a guy who's affected a lot of winning to this point in his career, right? So, I mean, that's to me, that's where, you have to look at it beyond just the point and the athleticism and all that stuff. I think Cade Cunningham is going to be a really good player. I don't know to what level. And certainly when, you watch last night, there are things where, you go, boy, he's only 6'6". I wish he was 6'8" like he was supposed to be. I wish he was a little more athletic. But I'm just saying right now, you got to give this time. What makes me more nervous than anything is I think I can hear it in Troy Weaver's voice. He does not sound excited about Cade Cunningham. I think he was more excited about Jalen Green. I think he genuinely wishes he had Jalen Green. Again, you got to let this go for a year or two and start to see where they're at. But and frankly, if he does wish he had Jalen Green and he didn't have the courage to make that pick and that was the better pick, that's on Troy Weaver. And that's a problem. But you got to give this time because I think in short spurts, be it the summer league or rookie year, you're going to think, boy, Jalen Green might have been the better play.
I mean, after all the pre-draft talk about Cade Cunningham, hands down, he's the guy. And then after one preseason game and one interview with I have to listen to this Troy Weaver interview, by the way.
It's just
that
tone.
Swayed you that much.
Well, it's tone and it's the text that I have with James, and I don't know if
he was bullied into taking Cade Cunningham when he didn't want.
So I don't know if James wants me sharing this, but I'm going to share it anyway.
I like that.
So this is last night. I just said I texted him and said I see Troy Weaver being interviewed about Cade. And he looks depressed as if to say, I really wanted Jalen Green and it kills me. And James just wrote back with his LMAO, laugh my ass off. And then
we know what that means.
And said, it's definitely a thing.
All right.
You know what I mean? Like that's a guy who's on the inside. It's definitely a thing.
But James said that kind of was a thing when he was on with us a couple weeks ago. I think he said he wasn't 100% sure they were going to take Cade Cunningham.
I think he would have. I think he wanted the second pick. I think he knew.
But why not take Jalen? I mean, if that's your reputation,
right?
But that's the problem is if you don't get it right, you're done. There's no other job for you in the NBA, right? If you take Cade Cunningham, which everybody said it was the consensus number one pick, and he fails, you still have a job opportunity later. That's really not your fault. But if Jalen Green all of a sudden becomes the next Luka or Trey Young. You're sitting there with Cade Cunningham, who's averaging 10, 6, and 4 in his rookie season. You're going, oh, shit.
And again, he is supposed to be more of a Luka type. I'm not saying he's going to be Luka, and he's only 6'6". Luka's like 6'9", and he was supposed to be 6'8", and that didn't measure out that well. But
is that like a Charles Barkley measurement?
I don't know. It bugs me a little bit, though, that everybody thought he was 6'8". I thought in colleges they were doing it more legitimately now. So now I'm pissed at Oklahoma State, which is already a shit school, and now they can't even measure their players properly. Like, how did we?
Because of the hair.
How do we not know after the combine and stuff that he was? Why did it take the piss? I mean, he went from 6'8" to 6'6" at the NBA Summer League. That shit's supposed to be taken care of pre-draft. There should be nobody saying a guy 6'8" when he's 6'6" anymore post-draft. I don't know where that came from. All right, what's your second?
Hotter? That was the hottest take.
Yeah. What's your third hot take?
All right, I found a new guy, and I never thought I would see this guy because I don't really golf that often, but we did golf yesterday with Andrew Gauthier from Groovy Donuts and Trees. We ended up playing just 9 holes at a golf course nearby, and there was a group ahead of us, 2 fathers, 2 sons. None of them were any good. Not that I'm not any good at golf, but I'm better than these guys. They were basically teaching their kids how to play in front of us, slowing us down, not letting us play through, and letting them hit 3 or 4 balls. I mean, these kids were literally hitting the ball 5 yards, and they were going up to the next one. To the point, I mean, our 9 holes took about 3 hours to play 9 holes, and that's insanity. But I've never seen like Tiger Woods' dad. I mean, what do we call this guy? Tiger Woods' dad guy? I mean, I watched him swing. I'm like, why is he teaching his son anything? And not have the common courtesy to let anyone play through? You're just going to sit out there like there's no one else around you, like it's your course? I couldn't believe it.
What course is this?
It was Meridian Sun.
So, yeah, I'm with you on this because a couple things. One, the teaching ought to be done on a driving range.
They have a range, yeah. They had a range right there. And then all of a sudden you see him drop another ball. I'm like, what the fuck? I mean, it's not like this kid hit one decent shot where you're like, okay, all right. Every shot took like a whole piece of grass with him. And I'm like, what is this guy doing? And of course, Treese is like, James, she wants getting on me for not saying. Because I want to say something here. Like, what are you guys doing? Anyway.
Yeah, and if you're going to do that, you got to let people play through it.
There's always, there's golf etiquette. Right? There's golf etiquette, keep the pace of play, and there should be a ranger out there going up and like, listen, guys, I know it's a great thing, father, son, and all that, but you guys might want to play like a scramble.
And again, if you're going to do work on shots, that's what a driving range is for.
Yeah, I don't blame the kids as much as I hate kids. I hate the fathers even more because the kids get it from somewhere, and it's 2 doofus-ass dads that are sitting there dropping more golf balls thinking their kid's the next Jordan Spieth.
But you were an Okemos, right?
That's Hazlitt.
That's what you get for going to Meridian. I'm going to be honest.
That is true.
You know, in Lansing,
we had a good time. It was nice weather, and everything was fine. Otherwise,
that won't happen east of there. No, I'm just kidding. I like Hazlitt. I like Okemos, especially like Hazlitt.
It shouldn't happen anywhere. I don't care, even if those golf courses that are a short par 3 course where you can wear a white top T-shirt that you can't say the other name for it anymore, but you can wear whatever you want. I don't care about that part, but just come on. Keep the pace of play going.
All right, my third hot take. Jonathan Scope signing was an incredibly important signifying move for the Tigers. That they're serious about beginning to build and that next year they'll begin playing for now. And what I mean by that is it's a 2-year deal. The second year is a player option, so depending on how it goes, he could opt out after next year. He's obviously an important player, a guy who can be part of a winning lineup. And he's not somebody they tried to move this year with his contract up, or at least if they did, we didn't hear about it, and the offer really wasn't there. But they see value in a guy like that next year, which means next year you know what I mean? Like you're not worried about signing that guy in season if you're thinking next year is just another year that you're winning 70, 75 games. You're rebuilding. You're building towards something with mostly young guys. You're trying to have some veteran pieces that give you a chance to be competitive next year. And it signifies to me not that Scope is not going to be the last guy they go after. And you're starting to hear things from Al Avila and Chris Ilitch. And I truly believe at this point they're going to go make now if they if they don't spend the money, or if they make low offers to people and don't get the players they need, we'll have a different conversation later. But right now, it looks like they're going to make a pretty good college try at adding a couple nice pieces this offseason.
Because they signed Jonathan Scope for $15 million over 2 years?
I'm just saying, you don't deal with Scope mid-year, and you don't sort of commit to what's essentially a one-year deal next year with him and work on getting that done if you're not trying to start competing next year at a higher level.
Do you think it's kind of like the Pudge signing?
Him? No.
Yeah. I don't see it as kind of equal to that.
The Pudge hasn't happened yet. Pudge is the one where you go, now I want to read about the Tigers. Now I want to follow the Tigers.
But how sad is that, though, when we see, Al Avila sign a guy for 2 years for $15 million and go, looks like they're going to spend next season. Like, come on.
Hey, you take whatever you can get
right.
at this point. All right, let's take a really quick break. When we come back, we're going to dig into your Twitter questions, some fantastic stuff, MSU football and Cade Cunningham and otherwise. Couch on the Roof, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis.
Wherever you are on your cannabis journey, let Skymint Premium Cannabis be your guide, your friend, and your place. Whether you're curious about cannabis or a seasoned connoisseur, Skymint's knowledgeable staff will help you with a vast selection of products to choose from to fit your needs. Skymint believes access to the best cannabis helps people do good and feel good, so they grow it right here in Michigan, giving you high-quality, locally grown cannabis at highly accessible prices. Visit skymint.com for special offers and location information throughout Michigan, and use the promo code CouchAndRube20 for 20% off your first visit. Skymint Cannabis. You'll love this place. Come enjoy irresistible, award-winning, handcrafted donuts and locally roasted coffee at Groovy Donuts. Surprise your family or coworkers with special holiday designs and flavors, or put the perfect finishing touch on an event with a custom order. Birthdays, weddings, gender reveals, our friends at Groovy Donuts are your answer. Experience the Groovy Donuts difference for yourself on Lake Lansing Road in East Lansing or in Williamston. Get more information or place an order at groovydonuts.com. Where else can you cheer on your team, enjoy a mouth-watering burger or savory sushi, sip on handcrafted cocktails, or one of 46 beers on tap? Take your game day or date night to Cask & Company Kitchen, Bar, or Front 43 Neighborhood Pub near Frandor. Two amazing places with one awesome blended modern American-Asian menu. Catch the game on one of 30 60-inch TVs or stop in for the all-you-can-eat lunch buffet. Enjoy happy hour or elevate your night out at Cask & Company or Front 43 on East Saginaw in Lansing.
Find Couch in the Rube podcasts on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Google Podcasts, CastBox, and the Rube's favorite podcast addict.
All right, Couch in the Rube, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis. Remember, when you go to Skymint, any of the 3 Lansing locations, anywhere throughout the state, and go to skymint.com to see where those locations are, use the Couch and the Rube promo code CouchandRube20 for 20% off. And if they've got a better deal going, and often they do, you can get that. But if they don't, if the best deal is the Couch and Rube promo code, CouchandRube20, you'll get that every time you go. It's a fantastic deal we have going with them, so please feel free to use that. Also, go to skymint.com, and you can sign up for their emails. And like every day, I get a new email into my email box with their latest offering, their latest deal for that day, that week, that weekend, and you know exactly what's going on and when to take advantage of the best offerings at Skymint. All right, Jason, let's dig into these hot takes.
Eric Schultz up first. Number 1, Mark D'Antonio is the best football coach in MSU history, but the way he lost it by refusing to hire a legit offensive coordinator when 90% of the fan base knew he had to do it and 100% of the other D1 coaches would have done it, will always be a massive black stain on his legacy. 2, Bill Beekman is either the only human in history to take a 50% pay cut to go from a coveted job to a nothing job, or he got forced out. 3, Jason needs to cut and save the clip where Graham said it went right up my rectum and it was painful from a couple weeks ago. I need a timestamp, Eric.
We can go find that. We need to do that more often with great things. I don't think we do that well enough after the shows.
Yeah, because I don't remember. Like I said, if Eric hears it, he can give me a timestamp. I'll go back and find it.
Jason's got a lot of Nat-like qualities, and when I mean that in the nicest way, but like his memory is like,
It's bad.
7 seconds after it actually happened. So
Etch a sketch brain.
it gets tricky. With Bill Beekman, there's no doubt that this was not entirely his call. There's no doubt. How much of it was his own self-awareness? It's hard to say. Because
you think Bill Beekman brought everyone together and said, "I don't think I'm capable for this job"?
That's not what I think. There were discussions with the president, but I think it was clear the president wanted to go in another direction. And you could tell through the president's statement what he was looking for. But I think that there was also something that they thought was a fit for Beekman. And granted, from what I understand, there will be a significant pay cut. And so there's no doubt. I don't think this was him wanting to. I mean, people don't leave being athletic director at Michigan State happily. Like, I'm glad to be done with that, unless it's, it's a good job that pays a lot of money. I wanted to do number one, though, here. Mark D'Antonio is the best football coach in MSU history, but by the way, he lost it refusing to hire a legit offensive coordinator when 90% of the fan base knew he had to do it. Will always be a black stain on his legacy. There is something, one of the frustrating things I think for reporters, for fans, for anybody, is when coaches are dumber than the public, when the public sees it and they don't. I tweeted out the Pistons' first-round draft picks since 2008 the other day, or last night. Sekou Doumbia, Luke Kennard, Henry Ellison, Stanley Johnson, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Andre Drummond, Brandon Knight, Greg Monroe, Austin Day, DJ White. Like, it's hard to be that bad. Now, there are some guys who have stuck in the league, but nobody there was better than a fifth starter on their best day for a good team. And what drives you nuts is there will be NBA people who think they know shit, or people who are on those Piston staffs that think they know shit more than the common fan. And a lot of us knew certain guys weren't going to work. Now, I thought Henry Ellison was an interesting prospect at Marquette, and he wasn't. I didn't like Stanley Johnson as much. There's certain guys on here I thought Sekou was a decent draft pick. I'm not saying, but it's the same thing with a football coach like Mark D'Antonio. Everybody could see kind of what needed to be done, that they needed to revamp that offense, to probably add new, fresh recruiting voices and new blood into that whole side of things. And it wasn't really done. And where I give Mark D'Antonio a little bit of a pass, because what was his strength was also part of his downfall, is that his loyalty to coaches and the way he treated them, and people loved working for him, even when those guys were winning at a level that made them grossly underpaid by the market value. Most of his assistants, 2013, 14, 15, you look at those staffs compared to what other staffs made that would win anywhere near that level. But people stayed for him, and he had very little turnover. And when you don't have turnover, that allows for continuity, which is very important, and that allowed a lot of what happened to happen. But when it started to go south, his unwillingness to deviate from it was a big part of why it went south. And it takes, a rare personality to be able to pull both those things off, to stick with things for a long time when it's working, when you think it's working, and then recognize when it isn't. And Mark D'Antonio wasn't that guy.
Did you call me a gnat and followed up by no offense?
Yeah.
Nick Palmer up next. Number one, Mel Tucker is as good as advertised when it comes to recruiting. 2, when will Nebraska fans realize Scott Frost is overrated? And 3, Megatron talks about the Lions like an awkward ex-spouse.
He's right on that last one.
That is really, that's true. Like a crazy ex-girlfriend.
I think it's too early to say that for sure on Mel Tucker, but I think it's
coming.
It's leaning up, right? It's leaning up. Tuck coming, yeah.
That was a Graham Stout answer if I've ever heard one.
Right. Well,
and Nebraska fans will never realize until he's fired, right?
Hey, and not to slam Rico Beard, who used to be on this
Spartan Beat,
but
he's big time.
He criticized the person who said go blue in the question at Big Ten Media Day, but he's got to realize when he's doing hashtag Tuck coming and celebrating recruits, like, it isn't any different.
It's not really a depressor, though.
No, it's the same thing as go green.
I mean, we know that Rico would want to say go green,
right? But I'm just saying
there, but he doesn't do it because he's professional.
Yeah, but Twitter is still a public forum. I'm just saying if you're celebrating something on Twitter, it ain't that different than go green.
I mean, his avatar is him bugging Coach Izzo on the sidelines. I mean, what you have to see hashtags that no Rico likes Michigan State?
No, I don't. And I don't think there's anything wrong with Rico's rolling things. I'm just saying that to criticize the Go Blue dude, it's a little funny. Scott Frost being overrated is kind of interesting. I'm curious to see where Nebraska goes. I mean, the problem for Nebraska is they're just starting to realize it ain't 1985 anymore, and there's some real disadvantages to where they are recruiting wise. Now, I do think name, image, and likeness could help that program, because you talk about a rabid fan base without pro sports. Like, people will put money into Nebraska football, and so there may be some advantages that they discover through that actually help them.
Ryan Schultz up next. Number one, Graham, I identify more with your mindset than Jason's on Amani. If he causes any problems for team chemistry, I'm not sure he's worth having, especially if he won't be around for the second season. 2, Jason, please find the soundbite of Graham's first Yoda impression. Yoda is greater than Cockburn. Is that true? Is that really true?
Cockburn.
Yeah, I could probably find those. 3, college football with fully open stadiums is absolutely happening, regardless of what COVID does. But if we don't want this season to have a backdrop of a health crisis, people need to start wearing masks again now.
Yeah, I'm starting to work on a column on this, because I do believe there's an argument that if Michigan State sees fit to have their students and staff and faculty all vaccinated and required to be vaccinated, then why not make it a vaccinated campus? Why not have your visitors, to a certain degree, in Wharton Center and Spartan Stadium
when is this column coming out?
This week.
Yes. Can you let me know when?
Yep.
All right.
So
I got to see the Twitter replies.
Yep. And look, I mean, it's just if and I understand why you don't do it for financial reasons, but you also look at the number of season tickets that are still available and the number of mini plans that are being offered when that isn't usually something that's out there. It shows there's some hesitancy, I think, for people to be back in big crowds. And I know it's outdoors, but you're shoulder to shoulder. I think it's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out in college football. If college football winds up somehow being some super spreader event in September, that's going to be, I mean, that, first of all, it's awful, but it's also problematic for the sport, right? It's problematic for, and crowds have been back. Don't get me wrong, crowds came back, and I don't think any of the NBA playoff things were looked at as super spreader events, or there might have been one NHL thing where there was something in Nevada or something right after. But nonetheless, I am curious to see why. I agree, though. I agree they're going to have fully open stadiums to start. Financially, they need it to happen. It's outdoors. You're not forcing people to go. People are going if they want to. Right now the CDC guidance doesn't say masks outdoors, and frankly, for most outdoor activities, I don't think there's any reason to have it. But when you're shoulder to shoulder, it's and on Amani Bates, like the ideal Amani Bates situation for Michigan State, I thought, was that he didn't reclassify, and you let this team this year, with the group of incoming guys and the veterans, find their roles, their personalities, create that culture, and then add him a year from now. That would have been ideal if he was going to come to Michigan State. If he came in this year, I'm not saying it doesn't work. I don't know Amani Bates well. I don't know that nobody's ever said this is a bad kid. And I think, a 17-year-old who shows up on college, just because you're a really good player doesn't mean there aren't stronger personalities, and there aren't seniors who will put you in your play. And if you go to a place like Michigan State, you go there because you want that experience, you want to fit in. I don't know that he'd necessarily be a problem, but it does seem like it would change the dynamic of the team they're building. But then again, maybe he's a generational talent, and you don't care about that.
Gavin Haas up next. Number one, Justin Verlander and Carlos Correa will be Tigers next season. 2, Mel Tucker's recruiting will only get better. And 3, the Lions will go 7-10 this coming season. I think 7-10 would be a good season for Dan Campbell in his first year.
It'd be a little high.
I'd take that.
The over the win total, the over under wins.
I hope I'm wrong.
And that could absolutely happen in the NFL. That could absolutely happen.
I hope that Schlepp wins his money. It's $3,000 terrible bets. I hope I'm terribly wrong, but I don't see it happening this year.
Correa would obviously be a great signing for the Tigers. The question is, I also really would love to see Verlander finish his career in Detroit, especially if he's You don't want to see Verlander finish his career?
With Miggy, I've had enough of this World Tour bullshit, like 500 home runs and keeping people around. I mean, if Verlander still has some stuff and he can help the team, sure, but I don't really.
But the difference is
you're
not
going to do it for sentimental reasons,
right? But you're not signing Justin Verlander to a 18-year deal for $30 million a year either.
Sure.
And so you're able to cut bait or do things graciously and differently if he doesn't have. What you're hoping is Verlander for a couple more years is a starting caliber pitcher after he comes back from this injury. And if he is, you've got 5 spots in your rotation. And if he's one of your top 5, if he's a good, decent starting pitcher for a couple more years, that'd be fun to have him, I think.
Bring Scherzer back, too.
I think. By the way, I have a question. At one point, did you disappear back there?
Yeah, I was letting you finish your take. Kate Cunningham, so I turned around and let you finish your take.
Where did you go? Like I kept my take went longer because I was worried you weren't even in there. I didn't know if you were in that little other room over there.
I was in here.
Okay.
Yeah.
I panicked. I kept talking. I was like, did he go to the bathroom in the middle? Because sometimes
I would let you know.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I've seen you like in panic mode with the bathroom a couple times.
Absolutely. I almost shit my pants twice doing the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would have just left. I would have just been like, all right, let's go to break.
Yeah. It's like, how long can I stretch this take? Oh, where's Jason? There it is. Okay.
Spartan Johnny up next. Number 1, Graham proclaiming a lot of people know what Fiesta wear is was emotionally exhausting for me the other day. I'm 39, married, fairly woke, and have no goddamn clue what that is, Graham, and it's not okay for you to normalize it. 2, going to Victoria's Secret with your wife or a significant other should be known as shopping for Fiesta wear, which would make it infinitely cooler than what it actually is. 3, goddamn, how about Fiesta Day at elementary school? Who had it better than us? These 3 takes courtesy of Sky Mint of San Francisco. New location, apparently.
Good stuff from Johnny.
Do you really still go with your significant other to Victoria's Secret?
I don't.
Yeah, I feel like women want to go.
Elizabeth,
I mean, that's some shit you do with your extra chick on the side.
Elizabeth doesn't want me around Victoria's Secret.
You don't do that with your wife. You do that with someone you're cheating on your wife with.
Although I think it depends on the relationship. I mean, if you've got,
yeah, it's not. Maybe just buy some things and try it on when you get home. It's like, what do I have to go in the store for? I look like a creep, especially if you get lost.
But I do.
And you're by yourself in Victoria's Secret.
I do like the code though. If you got kids around, hey, let's go shopping for Fiesta wear. It's like your code for something a little more spicy. By the way,
you have to lie to the kids. You know how you kids were made, by the way. A lot of Fiesta wear being thrown on the floor.
By the way, I was in South Lansing this morning.
Did you get shot?
Pick up my mom. No. South Lansing's great.
Oh,
don't say that sort of thing. We'll
sorry.
fix that in post. But I was on south on very far on King or Cedar. I wasn't that far from a Sky Mint actually, and I went by this one store that just said videos, like a video store, like
Hell
a still old video.
I used to get porn from that guy.
I'm wondering, what kind of videos is that place? I mean, that place can't be regular videos.
It was the sketchiest place I've ever gone to go buy porn. Gosh. And I can't believe that guy's been there since 2002.
He's like the only video store left in town.
Right.
It's amazing. It's amazing. I'm tempted just to go in out of curiosity, but I'm also a little.
I'll go with you.
Don't want to be seen there.
I wonder if he still has the VHS porn that was in plastic bags.
Oh, incredible.
It was crazy.
That is a story we're telling, presented by our friends at Midtown Brewing Company. Midtown Brewing Company, 402 South Washington Avenue. Outstanding menu, great beer selection, and 20% off on Mondays at Midtown Brewing Company.
I mean, does it take a really good detective to see a building that's been up for 20 years with a shady sign and it's still in business and they're paying rent somehow? I'm just saying. Spartan Johnny. Number 1, Graham proclaiming a lot. Oh, we already read all this shit. Maybe. Number 1, MSU gets 9 wins this year. 2, if the pandemic can't take out the pee trough, nothing can in the women's bathroom. 3, I don't buy the transfer portal cast-offs. Is the guy who couldn't make the starting rotation at Alabama that much better than a starter from last year?
That's what we're going to find out, right? I mean, that is I think that is a really good question. Now, there are guys who were behind somebody who was really good or didn't like the situation because it was a COVID year. I think the one advantage Michigan State has right now is not only did some of these guys lose position battles, some of them just wanted to move up. The guy at Arkansas State was an all-conference player, wants to play in the Big Ten, right? Some of these guys just wanted a different situation. But I think a lot of transfers because of COVID just wanted a different experience than last year. Last year sucked for college kids. And so I think there's a lot of that extra stuff too. So maybe you wind up with a couple more players who might have not left after a normal year, might have enjoyed the overall experience, and things would have been just a wee bit different. All right, many more of your hot takes. More from maybe with a double. That's rare. Michelle has stuff on her mind, and we're going to get it out there. And the P troughs, by the way, I like the troughs that Spartan Stadium always have. Sentimental value for me. I can fit a lot of. It's
not in the women's bathroom, right?
No, but she might know people who are men.
Oh. I bet you I've known some women that could pee in a trough.
Oh, there you go. Spartan 1877, Eric Uzniak, Jeffrey Daly, Andrew Gauthier, Farty Sparty, Silver Spring Spartan, Bo McJunkins, John Crager, the Professor, Vanzi, Spartan Borat, Pookie Bear, David Jackson. Lots of really good stuff coming up.
The whole cast is here.
Everybody. Couch on the Roof, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis.
Hello, this is Mary Stucco with Education Unfiltered. Education is so important, and it doesn't mean you have to have a bachelor's degree or a master's degree or a PhD. It's really about what is best for you and what you need to take, whether it's a certificate or studying something in the trades, or you need an associate's degree to further develop yourself. There's a great opening for people at all ages and at all stages of life who are looking to go back into education and redevelop themselves. Check out my latest podcast with Davenport University and Lansing Community College as they join forces to host an online event to start or finish your degree. Like and subscribe to Spotlight Podcast on our YouTube and Facebook pages, and watch all my episodes, or you can listen in on your favorite podcast platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Play by simply searching Education Unfiltered. This is Mary Stucco. See you soon with more conversation on Education Unfiltered.
When it's your moment, that once-in-a-lifetime moment, you don't just want jewelry. You can get that anywhere. You want a memory that will go down in history, your moment. We're Medawar, crafted with exquisite style, quality, and love, so your present will be stunning every time you look at it, every time someone notices it, and they will notice. We've devoted our lives to this art, and we're proud to share it with you. The gift you want to give is here.
Medawar Jewelers in Lansing, Okemos, Jackson, Portage, and Brighton.
Live across the Great Lakes State, you're connected to Michigan's most engaging and influential radio and television program, Michigan's Big Show, starring Michael Patrick Shields.
Great to be with you, Michael Patrick. You're the show I would want to be on. Forget those other ones.
Michael Patrick, it's always a pleasure to be on the air with the King of the Airwaves. Thanks for having me on again.
That's a very good question.
Those are all great questions. Good morning.
Thank you. Michigan's Michael Patrick Shields.
NBC News Radio, I'm Lisa Taylor. Pfizer's looking to get full FDA authorization of its COVID vaccine. It could come in a matter of weeks as the drug maker has submitted 3 months of clinical trial data, and the CDC has been tracking real-world data from more than 165 million fully vaccinated Americans. Senate Democrats are not increasing the debt ceiling in their budget plan that will allow them to pass President Biden's infrastructure agenda. The budget resolution will give Democrats the ability to pass a $3.5 trillion bill without Republican support. The Treasury Department said it will take extraordinary measures to avert a default until October or November, after Congress failed to meet the August 1st deadline to act. A former aide to New York Governor Andrew Cuomo is speaking out for the first time since accusing him of groping her. In an interview with CBS News, Brittany Commisso said Cuomo needs to be held accountable. Commisso is one of the 11 women whose allegations of harassment were detailed in last week's bombshell report by New York's Attorney General. Lisa Taylor, NBC News Radio.
Michael Patrick, welcome to Dusty's. Did you walk up today?
I sure did. I walked up here to the patio at the tap room, having a glass of wine, and I'm going next door, Matt Rhodes, to your Dusty's cellar to get my 6 for $60, and I'm going to carry them all the way home with me because I'm counting my calories and counting my steps these days.
Yeah, the 6 for $60 is going great for the summer, and we have a whole new category of wines called Better For You wines, which have 0 sugar and less calories.
No kidding. So for a glass of that, how many calories?
85 calories or less.
That's fantastic. All right, I feel good about that. I'm going to try those, and I'm looking forward to that. And we are here at Dusty's Cellar and the tap room. And by the way, it's not only the wine that walks out of here. You're doing a fairly brisk business in the catering, I hear.
That's right. Catering's picking up as fall comes, and tailgate season is almost here.
Isn't that great? People are having parties again. They're getting together again. And what better way to have a party than not have to worry about the stress of cooking? Have you do it.
Come see us on Grand River and Okemos or online at dustycellar.com.
Cheers.
Cheers, Michael Patrick.
I'm Tony Cuthbert with your Spotlight Sports Update. Derek Hill hit the first home run of his major league career, but it wasn't a day to remember as the Tigers fell 7-5 to the Indians in Cleveland. Detroit gave up a 5-2 lead almost as fast as they built it by allowing Cleveland to tie it up in the fourth. Willie Peralta gave up 5 runs over 5 innings. Erasmo Ramirez took the loss for the Tigers. Detroit will visit the Baltimore Orioles tomorrow. Top overall pick Cade Cunningham took the floor for the first time for the Pistons in the Las Vegas Summer League. Cunningham scored 12 points in a tough 76-72 loss as the Pistons fell to the Thunder. Cunningham will get to square off with the man selected behind him, Jalen Green, as Detroit battles Houston in Vegas tomorrow. And the Lions will kick off the preseason at home this Friday as they take on the Buffalo Bills. It's not clear yet which stars will suit up for the Lions, but it will be the first chance for fans to see the rookies in action.
What do you get when you cross a know-it-all newspaper columnist with an awkward, unsophisticated everyman?
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Welcome to Couch and the Rube.
All right, hour 2 of Couch and the Rube, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis. Best thing I can say about Skymint is you can take your mom there and feel comfortable. And she'll leave there feeling like she's had questions answered. It was a comfortable, good environment.
And she'll get 20% off.
And she'll get 20% off with the Couch and Rube promo code. Couch and Rube 20 is the Couch and Rube promo code. 3 locations in Greater Lansing, many more throughout Michigan. Opening one in Coldwater, just in Big Rapids recently. Chances are you live within 30 minutes of a Skymint. Go to skymint.com for location information and specials. All right, Jason, let's dig back into these hot takes.
Let's do it. Maybe me be up next with these 3. All right, get rid of that. Number 1, Graham's Yoda isn't bad. The problem is the sentence structure. Backwards he speaks. 2,
backwards he speaks?
2, Fiestaware has been around for decades, and I'll argue most people know it when they see it. Estate sales are the best for Fiesta.
Yes.
Yes. 3, home warranties are ass. Flushing the $750 I spent, then calling a plumber to fix the resulting stopped-up toilet would have been faster and more enjoyable.
Yeah. So when we got our house, we didn't do it. I mean, there's certain home warranties you can. I didn't do any of them. I kind of risked it with like the appliances and other things like
smart.
that.
That's smart.
And I don't know if it was smart, but it worked out.
It's a good gamble.
Yeah, it seemed expensive.
Being without heat in the wintertime, you know.
Yeah.
Furnace and
put a coat on, you know, you'll be all right. I'm going to work on the Yoda because I want, you know.
Well, I told you last Friday, what happens with the Yoda is Graham does it with he starts it with zero confidence. So he'll immediately say he'll do it, and it won't be bad, and then he'll shit on it. So, you know, it's all right. I still enjoy it. It takes your breath away. Spartan 18770 up next. Number 1, the fact that the Olympics went as smoothly as it did is a testament to the Japanese Olympic Planning Committee. 2, with a possible top 20 recruiting class this year, Mel Tucker has earned his salary and given his program some much-needed breathing room. And 3, MSU will go 7-5 and have a top 20 recruiting class next season. Michigan will go 7-5 and have a top 20 recruiting class next season. One coach will have a ticker-tape parade in his honor, and the other coach will be burned in effigy. Extra take, Couch of the Rube needs a pledge Twitter signal like MSU when a recruit makes a pledge. Tuck coming.
Yeah. Pled. Yeah, we got to come up with something. Hashtag. Yeah. We'll come up with something. I got nothing.
We won't.
Right. We'd like your input is what we're saying.
Yeah. You come up with one.
Yeah. 7-5. I'm seeing a lot of this, though. I wrote a column over the weekend
for
about
Michigan or MSU?
MSU.
Oh.
I mean, I think Michigan could finish better than 7-5. I would take the over on 7.5 wins for Michigan. Doesn't mean they're going to be that great. I think Michigan's schedule is I would say easier. They got more home games. Just sets up better. I think Michigan's going to be better at quarterback. I think there's some things that they were awful last year that they'll be better at. But the MSU 7-5 top 20 recruiting class, there is a lot of hope going on right now, and I think a lot of it, stems from this idea that, and this is what I wrote in the column. It's sort of a mix of, there's a lot of uncertainty, but there's also this feeling that, God, could these guys be better than we maybe thought they would be? Like, there's so many new parts that are transfers, and again, as Michelle pointed out, not buying the transfer portal thing is a great way to build a program, and I think she's right in the idea of building a program year after year through that's a disaster. But there are a number of guys there that I'm intrigued about, and I think it might be a way to make you better at corner and linebacker quickly, and that's where coaching comes into play. And yes, some of these guys who transferred are guys who may be guys who give up early when things get hard, and that may be and not all of these guys will pan out. But if you get a third of your transfers wind up being big-time contributors in a positive way, and so you're talking 5-6 guys, that makes your roster just exponentially better than people thought it would have been. And look, I could 7-5, I could see happening. Again, we've talked about the 4-4-4 when you look at the schedule. 4 games they probably should lose, 4 toss-ups, and 4 games they probably should win. Just looking at it right now, and again, we don't know what other teams are going to be. If they go 3-1 in those toss-ups, that's 7-5.
Eric Huzanik up next.
Why are you laughing at me?
I don't know. Number one, commuting again has reminded me of how bad everyone else is at driving. Amen. 2, MSU and Michigan will both win 7 games this year, but the Spartans will be happy, and Harbaugh's khakis will be warm.
It's almost like Spartan 18770 and Eric are the same.
Same people.
3,
stop naming variants after frats. In fact, no naming viruses, period. # never ages well.
It's Delta, huh?
The lambda variant.
Yeah. It will be interesting though. You're right. If Harbaugh goes 7-5, with Harbaugh, it's not just about 7-5 though. It's what it looks like and who they beat and how competitive they are against. Michigan fans do not want to lose to Michigan State, and they want to be competitive against Ohio State. If they beat MSU and the game against Ohio State doesn't look like a total mismatch, I think obviously they can't have a ton of losses, but I think the wins and losses this year aren't as significant. They want to see progress, and to them, progress is keeping the in-state rival that you view as your little brother at bay. And
so 9 wins, but you get your ass beat by Ohio State.
And lose to MSU doesn't work. You're better off.
Well, I'm saying beats Michigan State, loses badly to Ohio State, wins 9 games. Does the Michigan fan base still want heat on Harbaugh?
Yeah, there'll still be heat on Harbaugh. They want to see that. So, to me, if they go 7-5, and say if there are injuries or some things happen in the year, and they beat Michigan State, especially if they beat them soundly and are competitive against Ohio State, people would be happier than 9-3 with a close win over MSU and getting absolutely trucked by Ohio State. But maybe I'm reading that wrong, but that's just what I think.
He's right, commuting again. Well, I've commuted a lot, but if you're doing it again and after working at home for a while, it does suck because people suck at driving. Jeffrey Daly up next. Number 1, can we all pledge that hot takes will be hotter once football starts? I'm sorry, Jeffrey. Football is back. Wasn't hot enough. 2, summertime in northern Michigan is awesome. Mullet Lake area. 3, Michigan and Washington, a Jim Harbaugh legacy game. Should win. If they lose, though, I know. He wanted the Australian.
Yeah. No, I picked up what he
wanted.
I
know. Yeah?
I'm looking up where Mullet Lake is.
It's near my house, yeah?
I don't think it is.
Look out for the stingrays, mate. I know.
Oh, it's way up there. It's near the bridge. That's, northern Michigan.
I handled crocodiles for how many decades, and I got killed by a stingray. I know. Sorry, I was trying to kill some time so you could get whatever.
Yeah, I know. Mullet Lake. No, it looks like a cool area. I'd love to.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
It's an Ovid. Andrew Gauthier.
Not Ovid, that's for sure.
Andrew Gauthier up next. Number 1, it's time to stop talking about Tucker only bringing in transfers and not big-time recruits. 2, Bryson DeChambeau is starting to look a lot like a bit of a choker. 3, if you can lift your bag to put it in the overhead bin, it's not a carry-on. Someone did some traveling.
So wait, if you can lift your bag.
Yeah. It's not the bag he's
Oh,
talking
you
about.
can't lift your bag.
Yeah, get your mind out of the gutter. He's talking about like a backpack.
No, I get what he's saying. Yeah. No, it's a good
You're
point.
thinking like testicles.
Although, there's some older people I'll willingly help. It's like they're
Depends what they look like.
what you
The
don't
old
like.
people. Some people, old people, I can just tell, fuck that. I'm not helping them.
Why is that?
They
What-
just
what's
have
the
that
look?
that old grumpy person face. Just go, fuck them.
But if they try themselves and it's a struggle, and
you're done laughing, then you help.
I do not laugh at old people because I just know at some point that's going to be my ass.
Yeah, just Army veterans that are amputees delivering food to your house.
I didn't laugh. I was petrified. Okay,
Yeah,
well,
you're
people don't know
petrified.
that
You
story. People don't know that we don't do food delivery anymore, partly because of this. It was I think it was shipped back when we had a shipped account, and it was like pouring rain and pandemic, and we got a little. I think it was pre-pandemic even. We just got a little.
We
late.
know the timeline. Just get to the part where you're
beating up my confidence in the story. You know what my wife does to me. If you walk out of the studio right now, it'll be the same thing. But anyway, so the car shows up, pouring rain. Woman gets out with like a wooden peg leg, an Army vet thing, and starts dragging up all these groceries. And the neighbors can see it. I just leapt off the front porch to help her. But yeah, we don't do food delivery
I think
anymore.
medicine has advanced past the wooden peg leg.
And I can't even remember what kind of prosthetic device it was anymore. But over
So
time,
does Graham make a donation to the amputees? No. He just never orders again, so the woman can't earn a living. Are we done with these? DuChambeau?
Yeah, I mean, he fell apart Sunday, which is
It
awesome.
was terrible. How do you shoot 63 the first day? Whatever. Farty Sparty, Silver Spring Spard. Jesus. We currently have the 15th best class in the nation. All right. Number 1, we will finish top 25 for the 2022 recruiting once everything is said and done. And 2, 2023 will be MSU's highest rated class of the modern era if the team finishes this season with 7 wins or better.
There is something to keeping momentum, right? Mel Tucker has a little bit of an advantage so most of his first year is a disadvantage. COVID hits, they can't do a lot of things. He starts in February. There are lots of things. So your first recruiting class is entirely the other guys. However, it did allow you to sell the dream longer. Like usually that first recruiting class, maybe you sell a dream and then people see what actually happens when you take the field. Nobody puts year 1 on Tucker. And they beat Michigan. They won that Northwestern game. Like there were things within that first year to say this is what I'm capable of coaching on the field. He's able to sell the dream. And so as long as there is progress on the field, and by going 2-5, and now this year even if they win 6 games this year, he's going to be able to point progress. And I think, again, we'll see how great a recruiter is if he keeps elevating it and if he can have 10 4-star kids like D'Antonio had in his best class. But yeah, I mean, there are a lot of really good signs there.
Bo McJunkin's up next. 1, if you didn't believe in Mel Tucker's recruiting before, you should now. 2, Jason Novak was the most important hire Mel Tucker made. The body transformation on some of these players is incredible. 3, an old take. I'm just remembering now. Woj tweeting picks ruins the draft. 4, a bonus take. If they don't transfer, Donovan Eaglin and Jordan Simmons will be thunder and lightning combo like Kulkrick and Ringer.
That's what's going to get interesting with the running backs at Michigan State in a lot of places, right? Because there are only so many carries to go around. And I've had offensive coordinators say to me, like, 2 guys is really doable. 3 is a very difficult way to have carries shared, to have guys happy and in rhythm. And they got 4 or maybe even more. And so I'm curious to see how patient people are. Now, if they're smart, running backs will realize that just because you transfer down, running backs are diva positions. In other words, there are guys at smaller schools who are really good. And like Western Michigan, where I used to be in Kalamazoo, long after I covered them, in the last few years, they've had guys in NFL camps. They've had better running backs in some years than MSU. And I remember there was Kyler Ellsworth's brother went to Western Michigan. He was a great high school running back, and I think he thought that was a step down, that he was going to be able to play running back. He never really played running back there. He was like a H-back guy who, got some run that way, but he was never a ball carrier. Like it's just it's hard to if you're in a spot where you may at some point in line have a chance to be the guy. Sometimes it's worth sticking around, and we'll see if running backs have the patience to do that. Have you seen some of these before and after transformation pictures?
I have. I actually showed Treese last night. I forget the player. Excuse me. Sky Mint was running through me, but he's a big fella that turned himself. I mean, it has to be the winner of the contest if they're having one, right? I forget his name. Excuse me, but yeah, these guys look jacked.
I feel like you and I should do that. That we should have Jason Novak, get Jason Novak, and have a contest between us to see which one of us can get more jacked.
Well, dude, I'm pretty much almost there.
That's right. I forgot.
I'm back in the gym. You know. John Crager up next. Number 1, blame it on unvaccinated. On the unvaccinated has aged horribly. Just look at the hospitalizations in Israel, Iceland, Gibraltar, and Singapore. 2, I'm still convinced there will not be full stadiums this year. 3, Anthony Russo is the starter against Northwestern. And 4, a bonus take. I don't want to hear another word about masks and super spreader events after what just took place at Martha's Vineyard this weekend. This whole rules for thee, but not for me BS is the biggest FU to the American public.
What happened at Martha's Vineyard?
I think Obama had his 60th.
Okay.
Don't act like you don't know. You watch all that stuff.
Well, I thought that was going to be tamped down. I don't know what. It is true that people ought to, and you know, this is the problem that Gretchen Whitmer's had. You just do dumb things sometimes where, you know, you take a plane down to Florida when you're asking people not to leave the state. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
well, you only turn 60 one time. I mean,
this is true. But you turn 61 the next year. Just you're Obama. You can have as many people. You can do the fucking party a year later. You know, like. Yeah. You have to set an example for what you want, and you're totally right on that. I am. There's 3 weeks left. I'm getting more and more convinced there will be full stadiums. Now, if they're not full in places like East Lansing, it won't be because it can't be full. I don't think it'll be because people are hesitant and it's just a more sparse crowd. But I think in the South there will be full stadiums, despite what's happening in Florida right now, which the numbers are pretty amazing. But I like these are good hot takes. I mean, John is great at hot takes, always has been. Anthony Russo is the starter against Northwestern. Just boom, bam. And, you know, can absolutely see it, and I think that's what they're hoping happens. The veteran guy wins it, and later, now the younger guys all battle it out after this. But, you know.
But would you be surprised if it was Peyton Thorne?
I wouldn't be surprised either way. I'm not, I can't, okay. I got it. It's a competition that I don't even think the coaches know. I don't think there's a person in the world right now who knows where that's going. So you can't Graham Stout that because we're all Graham Stout.
I don't have a horse in the race. There's no leader in the clubhouse. The professor up next. Number 1, there are few better feelings than going out to mow the lawn and having it start to rain, allowing you another day of procrastination. 2, people are forgetting about Jordan Simmons. He's a one-cut back who made plays last year. And 3, the Lions should pay Calvin with interest.
And that would be the way to fully start to heal that, right? Is to say, whatever you paid us, we're going to pay you back.
I would like to know what Calvin paid. I mean, now that he's speaking freely, why not just say what you paid back the Lions and let's
get that done.
It'll never happen, though. It's just a shame.
It is a shame. No, I don't think people should forget about Jordan Simmons. I mean, he was a bit of a. I wouldn't. The thing about Simmons is you watch him run. He had some juice to him. He was a powerful low back, great one-cut runner. I sometimes question, like, you know, vision and stuff, but I'm up in the press box or on TV. Easy to question running back's vision in a Division I football game. But it's true. He's a one-cut dude, and I think he's got value. And you know, we can sit there and say, well, Harold Joyner comes, but we don't know what Joyner looks like next to Simmons. Elijah Collins is going to be interesting. Everybody seems to anoint Kenneth Walker as the guy. And you know, to be fair to that, you hear that from a lot of players that he is an impressive player, and I think he'll certainly be part of their rotation. But yeah, I would not rule out Simmons at all. And the key for any of these young backs, and this is what's going to separate these guys, and I've covered college football long enough to see this: pass protect. Like if any of these guys can be better at pass protecting, they'll get more opportunities because they can be used in more situations. I mean, L.J. Scott early in his career, when he was Michigan State's best running back as a freshman, and he was their closer in the fourth quarter, and his pass protection issues were why he wasn't the all the time guy. Like, you know, if you can be the better pass protector, if the guy they trust back there in other ways, then you'll see more opportunities. And I totally agree with you, the lawn stuff. I know
you don't look at the weather first before you go out and mow?
Sometimes you think you can get it in. And we have a question coming from Chris Eastlick in a little bit, or a hot take from Chris Eastlick, our resident weatherman. And, you know, he'll know that sometimes you're just wrong if you're a weather guy. Sometimes you think, I got a couple hours.
You can't be wrong.
Yeah.
How dare you, Chris? Vanzy up next. Number 1, Cade Cunningham is going to be compared to Jalen Green for the next decade. Time to get used to it. 2, it was great to hear Calvin Johnson mention the city of Detroit and Detroit Lions fans in his speech. And 3, I'd risk it all for Mina Kimes.
I love it.
For her brain, of course.
That's a great
2021
summer question, though. Twitter question. Like
Mina Kimes?
No, not Mina Kimes. But which celebrity, man or women, would you risk it all for?
Dude, there's Instagram models that I would risk it all for. I mean, if it was all said and done, and they were like, "Hey, dude,
but yours is
this young lady's at your bachelor party."
Who's the Baywatch?
Carmen Electra.
Carmen Electra.
David Hasselhoff.
You'd risk it all for her.
No, that's just a given. That's my one. That's that cheesy, hacky, like,
if you
engaged person bullshit. Like, oh, it's your free pass. Like, hers is Jason Momoa. 2 things that will fucking never happen. So, we have that.
Yeah, I've got like 1993 Kelly Kapowski. That's me.
Yeah, but
right?
you can't go back to 93.
No, and I was 13. I would have risked it all for any girl.
You would have said, "What are you talking about? Not 13-year-old Graham. 15-year-old Graham's not banging a teacher. 13-year-old Graham's like, no." But risking it all for Mina Kimes, Vanzy, that's interesting.
Yeah. No, but
I mean, I like Mina Kimes. I actually do. It's just when you say risk it all.
But she is
that's another category for me.
She is a great example of why intelligence is also sexy. Because what I mean is, and whether I'm not somebody who's overly attracted to Mina Kimes, but what I mean is she knows her shit very clearly, and I think she's entertaining, and I think she's smart. Cade Cunningham is going to be compared to Jalen Green, and we got into this. And this is the thing that you just hope you're on the right side of it over time. Again, I think it's going to be one of those things this year that's a pain on certain nights because Green's a scorer, and that's not who Cade Cunningham is. So when they're both losing by 15 points and Jalen Green put up 35, that kind of sucks. And you got to look at it. You got to give it time for the complete player to emerge.
Spartan Borat up next. Number 1, Cade will be an all-NBA level defender within 5 years. 2, I'm out on CQ. I get he's young, but he still isn't good at any facet of the game. That's a problem. 3, Luka Garza is going to have to be a solid role-playing big for 10 years. Update, second take was done before the fourth quarter.
I'm still out on Sekou Doumbouya.
What do you do? Do you have a dunk?
I watched most of that game, and I don't think he's going to be in the league in 2 years. Like I just don't think he's. I don't think he's.
Well, it's not good if it's your 3rd season and you're still in the.
I gotta say, if Luka Garza, Luka Garza lost a legitimate 30 pounds. Like you see, he looks totally different. You got to imagine the coaches at Iowa are like, wait a sec, why couldn't you do that last year and been even quicker and better?
Probably watching Jokic, game film, trying to replicate something like that, right? You have to be valuable in a couple facets to make an NBA roster.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm curious to see because Luka Garza is a guy who 20 years ago absolutely has a place in the NBA. And so when you get guys who don't really fit the modern game, and now he does in certain ways because he can shoot, but the fact that he lost all this weight to try to be a guy who can be a little bit quicker, so he's not such a defensive liability. I am very curious to follow his career.
Pookie Bear up next. Number 1, you guys choosing anyone over Jimmy Chitwood as who you'd want to be in any sports movie should bar you forever from that conversation.
Good, strong hot take.
I will see my way out. 2, bought one of those mini pack season tickets, get to see Michigan and Penn State for an affordable rate. And 3, the Pistons finish bottom 5, make the playoffs in 2023.
Yeah, I think the Pistons are going to be better than people think, and I have thought that. And I think you add Jeremy Grant and Isaiah Stewart to this mix, and
I think they could make the playoffs this upcoming season.
I do too. Now that you go 10 deep in the playoffs, I think they'll be in that chase. And you look at who else is in the East, and like some of those teams that were in that chase at the end, they're not that good. They're just not that good. It's not going to take a lot to be in that conversation. But we'll see. The mini pack things, I mean, that's a great option right now for people, by the way. You can, like he said, Michigan and Penn State in the same mini pack, not that expensive. I've heard other friends say who have season tickets, they were able to order a mini pack to get tickets near their other seats, very close to like get extra tickets to a certain game. So there's some real options and some benefits to that absolutely right now. And by the way, it was a Friday thing. The question is if there was any sports figure we could ever be in a movie, who would it be? Character to play, and did not answer Jimmy Chitwood, but I think my answer was something like whoever the most attractive co-star would have been my play, which
typical.
Yeah.
David Jackson up next. Number 1, expectations have changed when losing a 3-game road series devastates you. 2, recruiting rankings don't win games, but when Katin Houser gets his 4th star, that class will be looking even better. #momentum. Tuck coming. 3, I'm doubling down on an earlier take. MSU will beat Northwestern by a touchdown.
I think it's a great value play. Again, they're almost a touchdown underdog, so might as well take it on the money line when the money line becomes available. Katin Houser can get his 4th star anytime. It just takes Mel Tucker or somebody calling one of these recruiting yo-yos, and they'll give him the 4. That's the way it works half the time. They'll give him.
Is it like getting verified on Twitter? What the hell is that?
It's just
Tucker has to call somebody.
Well, I'm just saying. I've seen it happen. I know a great story, for example, of Butch Davis when he was the coach at North Carolina.
Yep.
He had a recruit in his office who wanted to be a 5-star instead of a 4-star. He made a call, and the kid was a 5-star. And to tell you about recruiting rankings, that kid didn't even work out. But that can happen that easy. It speaks to that profession a little bit. And yeah, the Tigers. It is interesting when they don't perform now. You're a little like, what the hell, man? And that's cool. That's cool.
I feel like I'm just like, okay, used to that. Let's have some more fun later.
Yeah,
and
then take it.
Not expecting much.
Take it on the Skyman.
Absolutely. Alex James up next. Number 1, inside sources have confirmed Tim Stout was diving for cans in Lake Lansing over the weekend. He headed for the Okemos Meyer with a load of Natty Ice and Colt 45s. 2, how predatory or name, image, and likeness, contracts, who's reviewing them and the athletes on their behalf. 3, we need to start a Lansing area pro handball team so Graham can field penalty shots from various journos, children, and the French national team.
Absolutely.
4, how would you feel if you went to the casino and your friend won $37,000? Would you expect at least $1,000? Is it a courtesy?
Whoa, Alex! Did you have a friend who won $37,000?
What do you think? You just came up with that number and that take,
or was it maybe it's a story that's on Twitter? That's incredible. So if you went with a friend,
yeah,
and they won $37,000, what do you expect out of that friend?
I don't expect anything.
I expect them to pay for dinner.
Sure. I mean, I know what I would do if I won the $37,000. We would be on a plane to Vegas. I would take my buddy with me.
Together, yeah.
Yeah, and there would be, you know what, I would probably break them off $1,000, especially when you get $37,000 and it's like in front of you and you're just like, here, man.
See, this is why, I mean, this is not what Mark and Jay from North Coast Wealth Management would recommend. And
well, they would say have fun with the $7K and then bring us the $30,000. Bring us the meat, you have fun with the chicken wing.
If you had done that back in 2009, you'd probably be,
$41K?
You'd probably have a private plane by now.
Dude, I'd have cryptocurrency.
I'd
be a crypto billionaire.
You'd be in.
Imagine that.
You'd be in amazing shape. No, that's an interesting question though. I would definitely do I would expect an act that cost a little bit. He says flying to Vegas, really expensive night with drinks and meals, whatever it was. I wouldn't expect cash, but if I were in their shoes, I might drop $500 or you said $1,000, whatever.
I think I would I would make you do stuff for $500 though. You'd have to do something for it.
Yeah, see, that's why you're kind of an ass.
Well, we go out to eat. All right, Chris Eastlick up next. Number 1, a lot of broadcasters put Emmy-nominated or Emmy Award-winning in their Twitter bios. I'm going to put Couch the Rube nominated most famous listener to my bio.
You absolutely have permission to do that. It's very awesome.
And they mean the same.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Because, by the way, he's not kidding. One of the questions was asked, who's your most famous listener? And our response was, yep.
Yeah. 2, there's a 100% chance I'll use that in my next contract negotiation. 3, there's a 1,000% chance that won't work at all in my favor. Well, bring some Sky Mint to the meeting, Chris.
I don't know if, yeah.
Yeah, spark a J.
Or maybe have it before you go to the meeting.
No, you got to share it with your boss.
Yeah.
Get those negotiations going. Kevin from Rochester Hills. Number 1, the best part of the Olympics is closing ceremonies because it's over. 2, ass munch. Bryson DeChambeau melting down on Sunday makes everyone happy. 3, Mel Tucker will win a national championship in 4 years.
The one thing I'm worried about,
writing this down, Kevin from Rochester Hills,
is not getting to the 12-team playoff in 4 years' time because of those fuck sticks in the SEC and Texas and Oklahoma. And they're like, well, now it's going to be long. Now, get to 12 teams. I don't care what they're doing in the SEC, whether that's harder or easier for them. Get to 12 teams. Not that I'm saying MSU is going to win a national title in 4 years. What I'm saying is you want so many more teams are going to feel like they have a shot to be in the conversation and to be in the playoff. And again, we talk about this at the NCAA basketball tournament. One team's championship is not the same as another team's. For getting to a Final Four for a lot of schools is like the ultimate, and sure, they'd like to win the national title, but that Final Four banner is going up. There are mid-majors. You get to a Sweet 16 once. That's a huge deal. That's a banner. There are teams, you just get to the NCAA tournament. That's a huge deal. And so for a lot of programs, even Power Fives, getting to a playoff will be a huge deal and something that feels attainable at, one of those top 12 spots. They got to get there. And if they get to 12, look, if the top 12 is the playoff, I think Michigan State could absolutely be in the conversation there in fairly short order, because you're going to have to be a top 2, maybe top 3 team in the Big Ten. And, if you build it right, you absolutely ought to be there.
Mr. Neurotic Pants up next, number 1. If you want a straightforward, concrete answer, ask Jason. Someone needs to set up a hemming and hawing Graham Couch Twitter handle along with a 3-on-3 legend.
Thank you, Mr.
With a 3-on-3 legend. 2, the Tigers just aren't as good as Cleveland yet. Whenever Cleveland shows up, it wins. 3, I tagged you guys on the Wisconsin recruiter who got hired by Michigan State. I'm not sure if it's fake news or it flew under the radar, or I'm just a fat, bald, middle-aged dope.
Well, I mean, everything can be true. They're not mutually exclusive. Mutually exclusive facts. I mean, that did happen. So, and Ted Gilmer was the receivers coach, and then they also gained, who was the other guy? Saeed Khalif is the guy you're probably thinking of, who is the big recruiting guru that they added. So yes, we apologize for not knowing what that was. If you looked up the name, it would have helped us. But absolutely,
I have no idea what you guys are talking about. So
it was a Twitter question on Friday that we were unclear on.
Oh, okay. Grob up next. Number 1, Edgerrin James is the only NFL Hall of Famer whose bust looks better than he does. Got to see this one. 2, trainer recognition was almost keeping pace with coaching shout-outs and Hall of Fame speeches. These guys know who keeps them healthy. And 3, Bill Beekman didn't want to rubber stamp Dwayne Stevens after Izzo.
I don't think that's why he's not the guy.
Don't coach my team.
But if Izzo has a choice, I believe it'll be Dwayne Stevens if Izzo's allowed to pick his successor. And maybe I'm wrong on that, because the only reason that
breaking news: Graham Couch says Dwayne Stevens will succeed Tom Izzo.
The only reason to think that isn't the case is Izzo supported Stevens looking at other jobs that would be hard to win at even, and that would sort of take him out of the running, I think, for that. But, yeah. By the way, if I had a Hall of Fame bust, it would look better than my face, because my face is hideous. You know what I mean? Like I feel like the bust would have half a chance of looking okay from certain angles.
Yeah, they just would have to tuck you in a little bit, but you have to stand there for a long time, don't you?
Right, but if I knew this was the Hall of Fame bust, I could stand at a certain angle, and I could make myself look, not as bad. Stay away from profile shots for sure.
That's true. Graham Carpenter up next. 1, fuck this heat. If I wanted any more of it, I'd move to Arizona.
There you go.
2, betting is ass right now. I can't wait for football and basketball season to make betting fun again. And 3, I'll brake check you if you're riding my ass in the right lane going 80.
You brake check people?
I used to. I don't anymore.
I still do occasionally.
Yeah. I think I caused an accident once doing it. So
did you really? No.
Yeah.
What happened?
It was on 496. I don't know. I brake checked someone and then got over, and all of a sudden I heard a crash, and I was like, "Oh shit!"
You didn't see what happened behind you?
I kept going. It didn't sound like a death crash, if that makes sense.
Okay, another story.
Just a fender bender.
Another story presented by our friends.
Incriminate myself. Shit.
Yeah, you're in trouble. What year was this? Where
dude, this was 2004.
Excellent.
Statute limitations.
Excellent.
Shouldn't ride anybody's ass in the left lane going 80. Sure. Raccoon Graham up next. Number 1, Tuck coming. 2, gummies are superior to flour. 3, there should be a fan meet in East Lansing, not Evanston.
So yeah, we'll probably do a Couch in the Rube listener meetup here rather than
only if Chad Latz shows up.
So the big problem is I don't want to plan something with the stuff I'm reading about Chicago and the variant and bars and
I'll show up in a hazmat suit.
It's just a little. It's not as easy as it once was. I think it'll be easier to do here. I just do. I think it'll be easier to control some things. So we'll probably do one here at Front 43 and Cask and Company. At some point, or maybe Midtown Brewing Company, and do a get together as well. Gummies or flour for you?
Well, he's saying gummies are superior to flour, and I disagree.
Okay.
But some people have their different preferences. Some people don't like to smoke it. I like to do both, but I would definitely, if you made me choose, I would take flour over gummies. So, Ken Chu up next, number 1. Whenever I hear the Social Distortion song "Ball and Chain," I think about the Rube's triumph over alcohol. All right. Thanks, Ken. Right? I think that's cool.
Yeah, it's very cool.
All right. I've never heard the song. I'll have to check it out. Jake Hawkins, number 1. Who would have thought that Lane Kiffin would have gotten all of his Ole Miss players to be 100% vaccinated? I mean, it's just mind-blowing. In the words of Nina Simone, everybody knows about Mississippi, goddamn. To just when you think Ken Manny was one of the best strength and conditioning coaches in college football, Jason Novak is showing and proving he was a damn good hire and replacement. Don't believe me? Look at the before and after pictures of the MSU. This one, Deshaun Mallory.
Yeah,
that's who I was talking about. Thanks,
it's incredible. Now, I got to say to Deshaun, coming in to play Division I football, you probably should have been in a little better shape on the outset. You know,
why do you have to be a downer? I mean, the guy just transformed his body, and you're going back to like when he showed up on. You know what I mean? Like, are you the guy like when you win $37,000, you tell me how much taxes I owe?
It does.
Sounds
seem
like what you're doing.
It? Yeah.
You can't be happy for Deshaun.
No, it's fucking impressive.
Yeah. Well, by the way, you could have come in a little bit better shape. 3, Mel Tucker is slowly but surely.
I'll do it in Yoda. Better shape. You could. I can't do it. Shit. I lost my.
Cockburn.
Lost my confidence.
3. Mel Tucker is slowly but surely building something special in East Lansing. Question is, will MSU retain him the way they did with Mark D'Antonio if he leads the football program to similar success? Also, are there any MSU training camp updates you have for us, Graham, especially video?
My videos were great, weren't they? I don't even have them dropped. I was like trying to get out of there and make a breakfast, and it was.
You just look like everybody that was there, just holding up your phone. All right, record. Guys hitting pads. All right.
No great updates. The next availability is Wednesday morning. So I believe so. Wednesday's show, I'll have fresh stuff from camp and from Tucker and from players when we do Wednesday's show. So look forward to that. But Sean Mallory, man, I mean, I didn't mean to poo-poo it. I mean, it's impressive. My fat ass sitting here in a Pizza by Alex t-shirt, it's too tight for me.
Right. It's a Division I program. You might want to come in better shape. Yeah. Real Upper Deck Jerk Guy to wrap this up. Number 1, 8-win MSU season. 2, ESPN and Fox Sports personalities must have blackmail material on someone to be able to make that much money while being so god-awful. And 3, I can't wait to see an NFL team have to forfeit a game because of COVID.
That will be the first college or NFL team that's out for COVID, and it's going to be a loss this year. Yeah. Well, I mean, do you just take the loss, or do you wait for them to throw an interception if you're the Vikings? It's one of the.
I just think you yank them. Period.
Yeah. No, and with TV, let me say this: there are some people who are. I mean, there's just a lot of money in television and television advertising, but it doesn't mean people are all that good. Some people just are there and they're.
But how much money is Skip Bayless bringing into Fox?
Yeah,
I just don't. I mean, the ratings are
ass.
They're awful for that show.
Yeah. He's not entertaining. I mean, I can't imagine anybody. Yeah, I don't.
And Stephen A., I understand a little bit, but I don't understand paying him $10 million a year, and he's on your channel all throughout the day.
Well,
like, is he really?
Yeah, I mean, he's bringing in what they think. Yeah, I mean, they do the estimation on this. They.
And I know we always have to kind of preface it with, all right, listen, if you get the money, hey, take it.
You're worth it.
I understand. I just don't get these companies just blowing money out like that.
So, Real Upper Deck Jerk Guy says 8-win season.
Yeah.
We'll hold him to that. It seems high, but it could happen. Graham Stout that to finish out the.
Wouldn't be surprised.
Appreciate all you guys and the hot takes. Some fantastic stuff today, as always. Thanks to Midtown Brewing Company, 402 South Washington Avenue, 20% off on Monday nights. And thanks to Skyman. Go to skymint.com for location information and specials. There are 3 in the greater Lansing area, many more throughout Michigan. And chances are you might run into me, or even more likely into the Michael Jordan of weed over here, Jason, who is there most regularly. Wednesday, we'll do a show again.
Yeah.
Good show, man.
Yeah, man.
Couch on the Roof.